You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids. Welcome. Whoops, I'm making noise all over the place all of a sudden. Welcome. I had a little internet burp there.
Oopsies.
Oopsies. Welcome to season 3 and episode number 46 of still the not quite daily Beaver morning show, but not for long, here on the here on the Crier Media Network. Glow for those moments when you want to get your winter's day started off with a nice big bowl of piping. You know what? Can we try that intro all over again? With piping hot.
Sure, by all means.
Hold on. I'll have a sip of water here. Maybe that'll fix my problem. Today, recording day is Monday, January 30th, 2023. And we got snow here at the Beaver Lodge. We got lots of snow here at the Beaver Lodge.
Yes, we do.
Up the snowblower yesterday. Good morning, Kit Saucy. Good morning, Kit Jillian, Kit Linda M, Kit Lazy Sunday with Wade and Doe, Kit Danielle Baker. I believe that's a new name for us. Welcome. And Kit Ashley. It's always lovely to see you, you wonderful, beautiful soul. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And I am tickled pink and purple and green and blue and yellow that all of you have joined us, dear kids, for our wonderful show today. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. But before we continue with the show, before we get into our headlines, we have to take a moment to say good morning and good day to our dear Mr. Grizzly. Good morning, sir, and how's your mental health today?
Good morning, Mr. Beaver. My mental health is good. It's good.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Physical health is different. I'm really tired.
Me too, man.
Knees are a little sore because I was skiing yesterday, and
How was that?
Amazing. It was a big pow day. Nothing but powder. The conditions were amazing. And 4-hour day. I go get 8 hours in, but after 4, like, no, my knees are finished. My legs are cramping. The issue yesterday was how to dress, because it's, I've got ski gear, clothes, multiple layers for extreme cold, because usually at this time of the year it's minus 25.
Right.
And it was only like minus 5 yesterday. So it was like, okay, how about 2 thin layers of merino wool and then my ski pants and my ski jacket? Well, I got up there, did 5 or 6 runs. It's like, I got to go in and get a Powerade or a Gatorade or something, because I'm dehydrated. I'm sweating so much.
Wow.
And what I noticed was you can't hydrate quick enough, right? So I went in, took a 15-minute break, guzzled that, and went right back out. And because there's a lot of ski schools happening on Sundays, at lunchtime, everybody goes in to eat because they have a break from the school. So at noon, there was nobody. It was like I was down, up, down. I got like 6 runs in about a 30-minute period.
Gotcha.
Because there was nobody there. But I started to cramp up and realize I was dehydrated. So I went in for a 15-minute break, and I bumped into a couple of friends. So we sat and chatted for a little bit, and then we skied the rest of the day together until I was like, okay, I've got no more left in the tank, guys. That last run took whatever was in my legs out of me, and I gotta pack it up and head her home. So yeah, but it was a great time. But the drive home was an adventure. The drive to the hill wasn't bad because it was snowing, but the roads were pretty clear. And the drive home was different. It was snowing harder, and they hadn't plowed some of the back country roads like to get to the ski hill. The last section, last 3 kilometers. It was an adventure. What lane am I in? I don't know. I don't know where I am. I'll just keep going, and if I see a car coming, I'll pull over. That annual Canadian tradition come wintertime. Where am I on the highway? I don't know. I have no idea. As long as I don't hit anybody or anything, I'm good. So yeah, it was fun getting home. And of course, when I pulled into downtown Ottawa, because I crossed over the the last bridge, McDonald Cartier Bridge, over by formerly Foreign Affairs, Lester.
Yep.
Yeah. Take that over and then boom onto Sussex, Sussex to Rideau, Rideau to Elgin. That route to get back home. And they had nothing at that point. So, because it was so mild, the roads were very greasy. I found myself turning off traction control because traction control, for those of you who aren't aware, in your vehicle, it limits the fuel so you don't spin your tires crazily, but it makes you move really, really slow sometimes, which upsets a lot of other drivers behind you. So I'd turn it off just to get a little bit of momentum and then turn it back on for control, because there is a tremendous difference. Like if you switch on and off, and mine can be turned on and off. I noticed that while I was driving up Wellington Street to get to the turn at Elgin, I'd switched it off to get traction. And I noticed that although I was getting traction and able to move quicker, the car was starting to fishtail. So I clicked it back on and everything went back to normal really quick. And it's a front-wheel drive car, so fishtailing in front-wheel drive is weird. Because front-wheel drive, you go where you turn, right? Because that's where you're pulling yourself up the hill instead of pushing yourself up the hill. So anyway, it was an interesting adventure.
I don't know if it's my.
How was your weekend? Yeah, because I didn't hear from you at all this weekend. I sent you a couple of text messages and I didn't hear back, so I figured you're probably pretty busy with whatever it was you got going on. So
you sent me text messages?
Yeah, I did.
I have no record of them.
Really? I sent you messages on. Let's see. Sent you a message.
I only have one on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, don't read it out loud. Just
no. Okay, that one I did get. I'm I was sick all weekend.
Yeah, that's right. You weren't feeling good Friday.
Yeah, I was supposed to go skiing myself, and I decided to stay home. So my Beaver CD went without me. Yeah. So basically, the only mountain around this place was the mountain of Kleenex I was blowing my nose into. Just saying.
Where do
if you watched Finding Nemo, what?
Where do you ski in your part of the world?
Blue Mountain around this part.
Oh, Blue Mountain. That's a long ways away, though, from you.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
be closer to come to Ottawa?
Family as well. Well, it's with my Beaver Sweetie family as well. Yeah. So,
have a terrible delay this morning.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that too, because I didn't know if it was my connection or yours, because you've been freezing up a little bit and being a little choppy when you were speaking. Yeah. If you ever watched the movie Finding Nemo and remember when all the fish were in the aquarium and they were talking about Mount Wanahakalugi? That was the Disney version of what Mount Wanahakalugi looked like. If you saw the Kleenex pile that accumulated, that was Mount Wanahakalugi.
Okay.
Oh,
I remember that. But,
I was congested like crazy all weekend long. Friday, my nose wouldn't stop dripping and Saturday it wouldn't unclog. So I had both problems with with my internal liquid regulation. Let's put it that way.
A little dehydrated?
Man. A little dehydrated, sore throats, lots of sneezing. As you can probably hear in my voice, I'm really congested way up here. I'm all them. So, so did not do much this weekend. Did not cook much, did not eat much, did not sleep much. Unfortunately, I got on a Friday night bout of insomnia, which kept me up all Friday. So yeah, I'm a little rougher for wear today, but in good spirits as always, because I get to spend time with you and I get to spend time with these wonderful kids. Good morning, Kit Pete, Aussie Pete. Lovely to see you, mate. And good morning, Kit Mel. It was fun to see you on Friday. And good morning, Kit Jen. Yay! Big hugs to you, darling. Do you have anything to start us off today, Mr. Grizzly?
Couple of quick ones, couple of very quick ones. These are some conservative cell phones, not cell phones, self-owns, self-burns. I'm going to start off with this one right here. I think I'll put this on the screen and then I'll read it out. It's a gentleman by the name of Antonio Tweets on Twitter, and he cries out on December 18th of this year, "I believe in freedom of speech. I don't tolerate pronouns."
So not so much on the freedom of speech thing, right? Not so much. This is what I believe.
Do you know
now
what
watch
you
me
said?
contradicted. I'm going to scream from the top of my lungs what I believe, and then the very next sentence I'm going to contradict it. Yeah, that's how much I believe it.
Yeah, that's called cognitive dissonance.
I believe in saving the planet. Now go fill up my gas tank.
Yes. Yeah. Just while you're at it. And then this one, this is that the clownvoy occupation for a 1-year celebration in Parliament Hill, and here's a from Ezra Levant Company. This is insane. So many tow trucks have been deployed around Ottawa, downtown in the core, waiting to tow vehicles away. How much do you think it will cost? Well, let's take a look at the video she shared
Alexander
with that
the voice,
tweet.
Right?
Yes.
How much?
Let's take a look at the video that accompanied that tweet. Here's the video. I want you to tell me in this picture. Hang on. Let me just. How many tow trucks are in this video?
Wow, I see thousands. Wow, I see thousands. That was
zero. There are zero tow trucks. There's not a single tow truck. No tow trucks whatsoever. And our good friend Sam G saw that. Of course, Sam responded with, "Are the tow trucks in the review right now?"
Oh, shit. So that's the voice. La voix. Yeah, you can always count on her deliver the. I don't know what you would call it. It's not even untethered tethered in this case, because there was just like nothing, and then of course like she's sitting there and she's wondering about the cost, right? How much does this cost? It wouldn't have cost a thing if you would have learned the lesson from the first time and just not showed up.
Yeah.
The cost is not being incurred the first time because around? They're there. The cost is being incurred because the people you're cheering for are there.
That's right.
Cost of everything, the value of nothing.
Dissonance.
The cost of everything and the value of nothing.
Oh, yeah.
How much does that cost? How much does that cost? Okay, now do the other side of the equation. How much is it costing for all the legal proceedings, for all the deadbeats that showed up to scream that they were rebels without a clue or a cause? How much did that cost?
I'm very sorry to hear that the direct and predictable results of your actions happen to you.
Oh.
Although this is still my favorite. The dildo of consequences rarely arrives lubed. Buddha.
uh,
I don't think Buddha
yeah.
actually said that, but I still love it.
Yeah. Pete says, "Ooh, is the updates to Parliament building done yet, or still going? They're
No,
still
still
going
going. That's going to
and
be at least
going
10
and
years.
going and
Well, they
going,
predicted
going."
they estimated 10 years. I said maybe more like 15 at the minimum. I said 15 at a minimum because West Block, when they started to get into it, they're like, this is going to take longer than we thought. I'm like, well, of course it is. The building hasn't been renoed in like 100 years. So, and
Right.
these renos that are taking place are once in a century renos. And it's why it's
Right.
costing so much because the building needs upgrades. It's a century since they've done a serious reno like this, and it needed to be done. And somebody tried to say, well, Trudeau's spending all this money. It started under Harper, folks. It started under Harper. So stop blaming Trudeau for absolutely frickin' everything. And it
Yep.
needed to be done because the building was in rough shape. You
Yep.
know, they do maintenance, but you can only put so much crazy glue and duct tape on something before it starts to collapse under its own weight. So it needed to be done.
Yep.
Not to mention the fact that security measures needed to be upgraded. There was just stuff that needed to happen.
Yep.
I'll
Indeed.
put this up on the screen.
Indeed. Yes, that was another one that DaCosta
From
made
DaCosta,
for
yeah.
Dumb and Dumber 2 canceled. Or Free Dumb and Dumber 2 canceled. Actually, we should say.
Actually, Pete, you can tour the West Block, which is currently where the House of Commons is. There's a full visitor center that's been built. I know because I was there while it was under construction. I contributed to the construction aspect of it, and anybody can go and visit at any time. You just don't get to see Center Block, just West Block, but West Block is where the House of Commons is now. So everything that Parliament does is in that building. And I've seen every square inch of it from the absolute tippy top to the absolute lowest bottom. It's I haven't missed a thing in that building, and believe me, I don't want to go back as anything other than a visitor.
mm, mhm.
It was hell working there. Hell.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, they originally planned to have a whole other rally, and then that fell apart. And then they planned to go to Winnipeg, and that fell apart. And
Mhm.
then people tried to celebrate the 1 year anniversary, both in Ottawa and in Coots. I'm not sure if there was anything in Windsor this past weekend. It was a very flaccid gathering. Would that be a good word?
Yes.
Flaccid. Yeah.
Very.
Yeah. So basically, the coalition of limp dicks came around, the truest believers who decided that they would come in again. And this is where I kind of feel sorry for them because this time around, apparently, at least for Ottawa, they did plan to come only for the weekend and did plan to leave and did get their
Mhm.
permits and all that kind of
No,
stuff.
they didn't get their permits.
Some did.
No. There was a report about it in the news how they set up a DJ booth and this and that in the hill, and they did not have a permit for that. The city did not grant them anything.
Oh, okay. I thought they had gotten some because I heard some of
No.
them sound on the radio that this, like they said this, this one would be different. They were going to be here because listen, in all this mess, there are a couple of genuinely misguided people
Mhm.
who really
Yes.
believed it was about
Yes.
mandates and all that kind of stuff. But the
And those are
second
the
that
ones.
this,
Those are the ones I have compassion for.
yeah, like this. But as soon as the Nazi flags and the Confederate flag showed up, that was your cue to go home.
Mhm.
Some didn't
Yeah.
know better than to leave. All right. And then you were given ample warning, and then they didn't leave. So these are the people that came back, and I don't think the Chris Barbers and the Pat Kings and whatnot came back. I think there's one of them that did violate. One of them did
Pat
violate parole by
King.
participating online.
Yes, because he's not allowed to engage in social media whatsoever. He participated online, and somebody filmed it. Says you have to delete that. And he's like, no, I'm not deleting that. No,
Yeah.
no, he's not supposed to be doing this. He did it. I've got it on film. He's violation of his bail. So he gonna go back to jail. You gonna go to jail. What happens? That's what happens when you flout the law. When you think you're above it, you're gonna find out real quick you ain't. And we got the evidence, and it's all for the world to see because I retweeted it and shared it and had friends do the same.
Yep.
You're not supposed to do that. You did it. You got to pay the price.
Right. And so the people that are still there might still be people that are there on some type of principle of some kind and are misguided. But there wasn't much violence.
No.
There was
some.
very much honking. There was some, because every crowd like this is going to get some people. I mean, like I said, it wasn't just purely the innocent and the misguided that were there on some point of principle. There was still some of the people that wanted to cause some trouble. And another main difference is that not many of the conservatives decided to show up for this.
Yeah.
But as always, there is an exception.
And I'm just doing my own Facebook.
In this case, Mr. Grizzly, if you'll put it up,
Mhm.
we've got DJ Homo Milk and
Oh, yeah.
DJ MC Homo Milk. If you remember this guy?
Yeah.
Arnold Vrind or
Version,
something.
yeah.
Version.
Had the worst rap in history.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so bad.
Yep. So he decided to show up, and because he has an innate ability to be on the wrong side of everything. And well, let's just take a look.
My name is Arnold Beerson, member of Parliament for Peace River Westlock, and I'm just doing my own Facebook Live with my constituents here from across.
Well, I'm so glad that you are. Now, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'll give you my YouTube channel, and you can look at that too. It's called To Prepare His Way. If you want to follow me on YouTube.
Okay.
Okay. Pierre Poilievre. I mean, he looks like he's poised to become the next prime minister.
Yeah.
He's saying a lot of the right things.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, people are excited.
Yeah.
To not have Trudeau as prime minister anymore.
Yeah. So
and hopefully
I'm gonna
things, but he.
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna.
He's also supportive of.
Yeah. All right, folks. I'm.
He's getting off. He's getting off. So that's okay.
We're here on Parliament Hill for Freedom Day. Looking forward to getting rolling again on Monday. Question period should be exciting next week.
Well.
Yeah.
Well. Talk about having charge of your convictions.
I missed what the fellow was saying. What was his website? I couldn't quite make that out.
Oh, something Find His Way or something?
Oh, so it's a religious thing.
I would assume that purple thing around was some type of...
Yeah, it looked like some sort of priestly robe. Do I have to shave my beard off now because of guys like that?
You might. But so here he is, right? Sitting there, like, gonna broadcast something.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy hadn't said anything controversial yet. He just mentioned Pierre Poilievre, right? So he goes, "Well, Pierre Poilievre will be great, the prime minister," right? He's talking, like this. And like he's worried already about where this is going to go as soon as he mentions Pierre Poilievre. So he starts to try talking, do that politician thing where you hear like 7 words of the question that's coming like this, and you hear a keyword, and you just go off and start talking for about 2 minutes. And the other guy wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about Justin Trudeau and was like, "Oh, gee, this live stream thing I was about to do, I think I'm abort, get out, danger, Will Robinson, danger." Just
yeah, that's what it amounted to.
Oh crap, he's gonna ask me to oh crap, run.
Yeah. Question period. Has he ever taken a question in question period? Has he ever? I don't think so.
I'm sure he has, but I mean, like that was fear in his eyes. I was like, oh my God, how do I get out of this? I just said yes to a nightcap, and I just walked through the door, and I saw like stuffed kittens all over the place.
What's with the upside down pineapple decorations? Oh, you're about to find out.
Right.
What?
Why don't
The
you
little
have
bell
any?
goes off and it's time to party.
Why is there no food in your freezer?
No reason. No reason.
Yee. So yeah, um, apparently there were some tickets and all that kind of stuff, and given, and I'm not quite sure what all happened in Alberta, but
I heard like 200 people showed up at a rally for the Coots border blockade and terrorist gathering, and they raised some money, I think, for the 4 individuals who are being tried for conspiracy to commit murder, amongst other
yes, who
things,
are apparently
mischief. Like there's,
political prisoners.
but they were going to murder RCMP officers. How's that a political prisoner? They were going to kill police officers who are citizens of this country, who are not politicians. They're citizens of this country who live and pay taxes here just like the rest of us. So
Yep.
please tell me how they could be political prisoners. No, they're terrorists.
Yep.
Domestic
They are.
terrorists.
Yep.
And they're going to pay for it.
Yes. So according to iHeartRadio, it says that a convoy of Albertans made a Coots loop in the border town to mark 1-year anniversary of the blockade. Between 250 to 300 trucks, cars, SUVs, and the odd semi met up in Coots Saturday morning, where they revisited the site of a 2-week-long border blockade that became global news story in early 2022. The group, including members from several southern Alberta locations, including Calgary, Medicine Hat, Claresholm, and Lethbridge, planned to make a Coots loop along Highway 4 before gathering in Lethbridge for an afternoon barbecue event with speeches.
Some street chili in there too, maybe.
So we've gone from blocking the border to essentially being fruitcake loops.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what? It was legal, it was nonviolent, and you do have a constitutional right to be wrong. So
Yeah. Well, and like you say, it was nonviolent. So
I mean, I'm guessing that this is the way that we do want people to protest.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so. Yeah. Yay for getting it right this time, I guess. But like Freedom Day, really.
Well, I got one earlier from
Aussie Pete here he says Freedom Day. That gives me nightmares of protesters here around the pandemic lockdowns with anti-government groups taking people's frustrations and fanning it with a few lies to fuel their agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got one for you here. I had to respond to this when I saw it earlier because I'm like, oh man. So MP Roman Babar, those who believe the convoy was an occupation don't know enough history to understand what an occupation really is. The solution may be a tow truck, not this unprecedented Christian Freeland on our democracy and confidence in the financial system. To which I responded with, tell you what, get about some trucks, a stage, a PA, a DJ, some firework horns, and camp out in front of your house for 3 weeks. Use your lawn as a toilet, harass your neighbors, party till the wee hours, light fires. Then tell us how it's not an occupation.
Yep.
I didn't get a response from him for some reason.
Yeah, wonder why. Wonder why. Because Kid Pete asks, but do they even know what they are protesting for?
No, they don't. They don't.
Well, I mean,
the mandates, there are none.
When they go to the public, when they talk to the public or talk to the media, they don't know. But clearly, the only thing that they're protesting is the fact that there are adults in the room.
Well,
and that rules exist.
and
there will always be rules, and there will always be adults in the room. That's
they're protesting.
Ever.
They're protesting the government and the prime minister, and they want to remove him and form their own government, which is not democracy and it's not freedom. So, that little chestnut.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, come on, Ian. Come on. And there was something then today that I saw this morning before we came on that, just kind of stuck in my because, this guy here was the guy that we thought would have been the sane and normal one in the Conservative Party of Canada leadership race. Mr. Grizzly, if you put it up. And this is the guy we were recommending when we asked
Scott
you
Aitchison.
to get your membership and try to stop skipping. And let's just put it this way: my, it's amazing how quickly they all fall in line when the leader, no matter how awful a human being he is, happens to be good at fundraising.
It's terrible because I really had hope for this guy. His when he was campaigning for leader, I liked what he had to say. An actual progressive. But now he's fallen right in behind.
He's ditched it. So he put up this tweet a couple of hours ago, about 3:11 yesterday afternoon, saying, "Conservatives know we can't spend our way out of Justin Trudeau's housing mess. We build our way out." That's the first line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number one, if you did listen to our interview with Dr. David Debayet on housing, it's clear this problem has been a hot mess way before Justin Trudeau. We were the only nation in the G7 that did not have a national housing policy before he came around.
Mm-hmm. The only one.
Right?
We've had liberal and conservative governments in the last 50 years.
Okay. We've had an immigration policy that has not been coordinated with our housing policy for years. We have not been building the homes for the people we need to come in to keep the economy going. We just have not. So it's not Justin Trudeau's housing mess, number one. Number two, we can't spend our way out. We build our way out.
Well,
conservatives, you darlings, come over. You are allegedly so much better with the economy and money than the rest of us. Explain to me how you build something without spending.
It's not possible. I know. I've worked in construction. A lot of money gets spent to build stuff. There's one other factor that's not being taken into consideration here.
Mm-hmm.
There simply do not exist the tradespeople that we need to build those homes. They don't exist.
Which is the same problem we have in health.
They don't exist.
You make all these plans to build these things. There's nobody to build them. You can build all the new shiny spaces that you want in the entire world in order for surgeries to happen. If you do not have surgeons,
you can't make it happen.
Right?
There's just not enough tradespeople. That's the big problem. Everybody wanted to go and get a university degree, which I completely still support. Don't get me wrong. I'm not poo-pooing any type of post-secondary education in any way, shape, or form. However, we don't have anybody in the trades anymore because all of a sudden we created this society where if you were a tradesperson, you were looked down upon because you're working class, except most electricians and plumbers I know earn more than a lot of doctors and lawyers in their first 15 years of their career.
Yeah, and when your power goes out in a homestorm, in a snowstorm, you suddenly have a lot of respect for that electrician's intelligence.
Who's your hero?
Who's your best friend?
When your toilet backs up at 3 a.m. on a Sunday, who's your hero then?
Who's the smartest guy in the world then, eh?
Right?
Huh? Because you don't have that knowledge. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. My trade, it's not observed as a trade in the province of Ontario. It is in Alberta, but it isn't in Ontario for some bizarre reason. And I'm not even sure. I have some theories as to why, but I'm not going to get into that because some of them sound conspiratorial. But there's a lot of sand or salt or something to back up my theory. But because I am the lowest rung on the ladder, they say, on a construction site, and I had a general contractor say that to me once. He says, "Well, it's just data lines. That's not important." And I just looked at him and I said, "Okay, we'll just leave then." He goes, "What?" I go, "We'll leave, and you tell me how soon this business opens without our services. You'll have no phones, no cameras, no network, no computer systems, no sound system, no surveillance system, no security, none of the things you need to open your doors. You'll have electricity, but nothing will work. So tell me how unimportant my trade is. Tell me how, it's just data cabling. It's low voltage data. Tell me how important or how unimportant that job is."
Right.
You have no audiovisual services, no sound services, no cash registers to operate, no network to keep computers running. You can plug your computer in, but if there's no network, what's it going to do? You'll have no internet connectivity. Everything is done online today. Your inventory control, everything.
Yep.
You don't get any of that if you kick me off the job site or if you tell me how unimportant I am and we're like, well, if you're going to treat us like that, we'll just leave. Whoa, hang on a sec. I've done that to a few foremen over my day, and by the end of the job, they had a great deal of respect for the team that I was with and the work that we did. And the electricians always came to our defense and said, look, I can't do what these guys do.
Yep.
I can't do what they do. So you better show them the respect they deserve.
Right.
But that's just been the nature of the beast.
Yep.
You know?
That's why you do not look down your nose at other people.
Yeah. Watch what happens when
needs everybody at some point.
Treat the janitor with the same respect that you treat the CEO.
Yes.
Because every single person is important to the machine. Every cog keeps it working. You pull out one gear and the whole thing collapses.
Yep. You want to see your office go grind down to a slow pace? Insult your admin assistant.
Yeah, watch what happens then. Right? Every job is important. And the one thing I hate, that unskilled labor. Yeah, you do it then. You do it then. You think washing windows in January is unskilled? You do it then.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do you have to have the latest up-to-date state-of-the-art safety equipment and training on how to run that equipment and knowing what the weight limits are and wind limits are, a lot of science that goes into that crap. It's not just doing this on a window. It's all the safety and pre-planning that goes into it before you lower that basket down the side of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And also knowing the right alcohol to water mix with soap so that it doesn't freeze the second you put it on the window when it's minus 22.
Yep.
Windows get washed year round.
Yep.
We just did it.
Yep. Kit Linda and Kit Saucy are singing our song. No such thing as unskilled labor. There's nothing unskilled about laborious work.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yep. So, get back to Mr. Aitchison here.
Please.
Yes. If you are building your way out of an alleged housing crisis or housing mess, you are spending your way out.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to do one without the other. Well, thank you for being too cute by half.
The people who build the houses aren't doing it for free, and the materials that go into the housing, whether it's an apartment building, a condo tower, a single-family home, a row housing, whatever the case may be, none of those materials are free.
Yeah,
so
President Jimmy Carter didn't cross the border to donate them to you.
No.
So, and then it finishes the second paragraph. Join me and our CPC HQ team who are ready to deliver a fresh approach and new thinking to solve the housing crisis. Come on, dudes. You guys are conservatives. Fresh thinking is not your bag.
It's not what you do.
It's in the name.
Now, if you were...
Preserve the past. Preserve the old ways of thinking. Preserve tradition. Preserve, as Bo for the fifth column calls it, peer pressure from dead people. Which is what peer pressure is, or tradition, right? So it's like, but fresh approach, new thinking, that's completely anathema to your party brand, dude.
Mm-hmm.
This is,
everything about this. Everything
about that tweet is false advertising.
Now, if John Robarts were still alive, he was a progressive.
Well, yes, progressive conservatives. So they're a different breed. We say it all the time.
A very different breed. He built Ontario. Not only that, he would be ready to punch Doug Ford in the face over what Doug wants to do with Ontario Place.
Yep. We have some new people to say hello to. Good morning, Kit Mohan Perso. There's definitely a new name for us.
Yes. Welcome.
Lovely to see you. Welcome to our show. Welcome, Kit BB. Lovely to see you again. You always bring us some good activist energy to our chat. So thank you for being here with us today. And there was somebody else new that I saw that scroll through, and I probably missed out. No, Nona. There she is. Hello, Nona. Good morning, darling. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. So yeah, we thought that Aitchison was the normal one. And either he still is the normal one and is doing the shtick, But either way, he had a price, and he went for it.
Yeah, and it does break my heart a little bit because he said all the right things in the beginning, and he seemed to be sincere in what he was saying when he was campaigning. Who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe he's just trying to set himself up so he can rise further the ranks, and next time out, make it as PC leader, or conservative
But
leader.
the internet
And
is forever.
I know that's the
That's the
thing.
thing.
Well, no,
It's
the
forever.
conservatives don't think so. They think it's not forever.
No,
According
no,
to,
yeah,
to Skippy, PP
yes,
is
'cause
always, he'll say one thing and a week later he'll say another. No, I never said that. But
well,
it's
yes.
right there. We have it on live video.
Yes, but that's because history only begins after the last time the conservatives did it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
I can't believe you're going to charge me for the crime I committed 6 months ago. But what?
You could,
It's a
I mean, you
crime.
could
You
charge me for
committed
crimes
it.
I committed like 5 months ago, and before that, I would be fine. But 6 months? Come on, man.
That's
So
statute of
unreasonable.
limitations has already expired on that one. I need a coffee. I'll be right back.
All right. It's more like nobody I know or nobody who votes for me is interested in the story, so it doesn't exist anymore. It's not important. Just, let me keep criming. Hey, not good. Not good. What else have we got going on for you, Kits? Let's take a look at the old notes here. The Arctic Winter Games have started. They haven't had them in the last 5 years due to COVID and other stuff, and I'm sure that they're not scheduled absolutely every year as well. But they have indeed started in the Wood Buffalo area of Alberta, and they're basically games that involve the polar circle countries, and they're usually traditional games. So there's not not typically the Olympic sports at these games. No. But athletes from all the nations. I think usually it's about 8 nations that come, and even Greenland. We have people that come, which of course is associated with Denmark. But there will be no Arctic Winter Games competitors from Russia this year.
Gee, I wonder why.
Obvious reasons. But about
I think they've been conscripted, haven't they?
Well, pretty much everybody is being conscripted these days based on what I've been hearing on the news. But about 2,000 people in total will be hosted in that area for those games that go on for a full week. So good games to everyone over there. Hope everything goes well and that you bring lots of glory for your various home regions.
I just wanted to let you know because it's top of mind, and a squirrel, ADHD squirrel. Catherine's in Quebec City for the week.
Oh, hello, Catherine. Have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful
Just
time.
thought I'd let you know.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to mention with regard to what I was talking about, and I forgot what it was. Oh, well, that's all right. It happens. It happens. And a few days ago, I'm not sure if it was last night or if it was the night before, but Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was at the site in Quebec City, since you mentioned it, where that terrible mosque massacre took place in 2017, where someone with a weapon killed 6 people and injured 19 others. The ceremony this year was the first time that there was a public ceremony held at the site, and the first time since the massacre itself that the general public was invited into the mosque to mark the event. From the room where the tragic events took place, the Prime Minister said, "These attacks were motivated by hatred and Islamophobia. Canada is a place of openness and respect, and we must therefore recommit ourselves every single day to these values." Interestingly, in a move that might make you think of National Truth and Reconciliation Day, the first one, this time it was the Premier, Legault, who did not show up to the event.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Again, another thing, right? Particularly when you have a bit of a reputation for denying the fact that systemic racism even exists in your province.
Mhm.
The first public ceremony commemorating a major act of Islamophobia might be something for which you wanted to clear your calendars.
You think? I mean,
I
I
don't
think you should personally. Yeah.
I,
To each their own, I guess. But yikes!
right, right. Uh, I, I, these things again to me are self-evident as a public
Well,
relations person.
I think they are.
Well, right?
Who knows? Everybody, again, to each their own. But my goodness, I should think that should be pretty obvious that
Right.
you know
Uh,
figure
geez.
out a way to
So
make it happen.
you would think. So January 29th is now pretty much officially, I don't know if anything's been declared yet, but pretty much now a National Day of Remembrance and Action Against Islamophobia. And in order to mark the event, the Prime Minister announced that he had appointed a special representative to fight Islamophobia in Canada. Her name is Amira El Gawabi. She's a former journalist, founding member of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, and she was instrumental in creating the National Council of Canadian Muslims, the largest Muslim organization in the country. As the special representative, El Gawabi will lead the federal government's fight against and this is a quote, against Islamophobia, systemic racism, racial discrimination, and religious intolerance, according to a press release from the Prime Minister. So, good moves. A
Isn't
solid
there
move.
isn't there a little controversy around that though?
Do tell.
I could be mixing somebody up, but I remember reading something about, and again, I haven't been able to research it. I just saw the rumor, and I'm like, I'll have to look into that a little bit further. But apparently, there was some anti-Semitic tweets or things that she had written in the past that was called into question. Again, I haven't had a chance to look into it. I guess that's sort of a rumor that I'm kind of perpetrating here, but it's one of those things where it's out there in the ether. We need to take a closer look at it.
Okay, we should take a
And
look at that.
and I might be mixing her up with somebody else. It's entirely
Mhm.
possible, but I do remember reading something along those lines. I think it was Thursday or Friday, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do a little look into that because I hadn't heard that yet. But of course, I only heard this on the news this morning. So,
Again, I might be mixing her up with somebody else, but
okay. Well, we'll look at that a little more, and we'll report back on what it is that we find on that. But still, our hearts and our deepest and warmest feelings go out to all the people who have lost people as a course of this event, or were, had their lives affected deeply as a result of this event, and we're marking it because, this is especially with the whole rash of mass shootings we've been seeing south of us over the last few days, the
there was
last week or
38
so.
in the first 20 days of the month or something like that.
Yeah, 39 or something. Like they were talking about the one that had happened that had affected the Asian and Pacific Islander community
In California,
in
Los Angeles.
California. Pardon?
Was it Los Angeles?
Yeah, just outside Los Angeles, or a little county of Los Angeles, but it was an older Asian man who had done it, and they were reporting on that, and there was something that happened the next day, and they were saying, while they were reporting on that, they were saying that that was the 36th, and they were already at the 39th by the time they were reporting on it,
Wow.
and there have been more since.
But gun control won't work, right? When the AR-15 was banned for non-military, for civilian usage, for a number of years under the Clinton administration, random shootings like that went down. After the ban was expired and they didn't renew it, mass shootings went up by 245%, or was it 254? My dyslexia mixes shit up sometimes. I really am a mismatch. I have dyslexia, ADHD, depression, and anxiety.
Woohoo!
I can't
It's a
medicate
party.
all of them. Can't medicate all of them. How the hell I got to be this
Party.
age is beyond me, man.
Oh my god. According to researchers, just to finish off the point about Islamophobia, researchers in 2020 found that the number of hate groups operating in the country had tripled in recent years, with anti-Muslim rhetoric one of the most salient topics among right-wing extremists online. A year later, Trudeau government held the national summits on Islamophobia and anti-Semitism in a push to tackle the problems. That effort came after a series of deadly attacks and harassments targeting Muslim communities, of which the mosque attack was one, and of course 4 members of a Muslim family that were killed when a man ran them over with his truck in London, Ontario. Was another one of those events. And then there was a gunman, a mosque caretaker, that was also killed in the Toronto area in 2020, along to go with that shooting at the mosque in Quebec City. The National Council of Canadian Muslims welcomed Canada's appointment of El Gawabi, who previously worked with the organization as a, quote, historic moment for Muslims in Canada. This is the first time the fight against Islamophobia will have an established home in the Canadian government, the group's CEO, Stephen Brown, said in a statement. There are urgent changes that need to be met from better oversight for our national security agencies to stopping our community organizations from being unfairly audited. We have a lot of work ahead, and we are so excited that there's now an office that can help us bring about these changes at the institutional level. And Al Gawabi also happens to be a contributing columnist at the Toronto Star newspaper, and currently works, although I'm guessing she might have to. I'm not sure if she has to quit this job to do this, if it's a full-time thing or if it's something you do on top. But she currently works at the Canadian Race Relations Foundation. So there you go. And in a series of tweets on Thursday afternoon, El Gawabi thanked the Canadian government for her appointment, stating, "I look forward to meeting with elected officials, policymakers, and community leaders across the country to amplify the voices of Canadian Muslims and work together to fight discrimination and hate in all its forms." So let's hope that this is the start of something good.
Let's hope.
Yep, because we're a bit of a hotbed. We're a bit of a hotbed for this type of stuff at the moment, and it's doesn't really reflect. I hate it when people say this is not who we are, because this is not who we are.
But it is.
Yes, but it's who some of us are. Let's put it that way. Like I said, we cannot minority. We cannot look to the majority of us and say this is not who we are, to kind of pretend that those of us who are like that don't really exist, because it doesn't take many of us to be that way, and it doesn't take many of us to do a lot of damage. Right. Yes, and of course, yes, the Canadian Anti-Hate Network does have a bit of controversy of its own at the moment, in which, unfortunately, our friend Karima is somehow affected, abutting. I don't know.
It's just, I don't fully get it.
I don't fully understand the story myself, and I mean, my main concern, I don't know if I can speak for you on this one, but I assume I can, is that, everybody is ultimately all right, and particularly when I see the uptick, because there has been an uptick in the level of vitriol and hate directed towards Karima over the past 2-3 months, I would say in particular. So I would just, my main concern is always like, how's your soul doing? Because that's a lot of energy to wake up to, when you open your online stuff and feed, and you go through your email and you go through your Twitter feed and you're seeing all this stuff. Now, she's pretty stoic and good at laughing it off and whatnot like this, but after a while it takes a toll, no matter how, no matter how much you get.
Yeah, I check in with her every now and then to see how she's doing. She's like, "Thanks, appreciate it." I'm like, "Well, I see what's going on," and I'm like, "You're really getting, a lot of vitriol, and I don't believe any of it is deserved. I don't think, it's not earned, it's not deserved. It's somebody puts out a rumor and everybody follows it and piles on, and I've tried to not be guilty of doing that." Because you'll hear something and go, that sounds entirely plausible. And there was a point in time where I would have just followed along. I don't do that, and I haven't done that in many, many years. Now I just, let's take a closer look at this. Let's examine this. Let's see what this is all about before I make a decision. Because if I don't have all the evidence presented to me, I can't make a decision. And I know who Karima is, and the things they're accusing her of, I'm like, what? You're
I
really
do not
reaching,
recognize them as being true about her.
right?
There's nothing of my experience of her that would tell me that these things are true.
Exactly.
Now, I don't have thousands of hours of experience with her.
No, but our
there's
experience.
But there's nothing in my experience of her, either dealing with her one-on-one or seeing what she does online, that
Exactly.
corresponds with what's being said.
Exactly. Well, I don't know if you saw the interview that James had with, it was Karima and an individual who accused her of doing something, and it was a tough interview to watch. And James came back later and he says, I picked sides in that one because I was there with my friend Karima, and I was, I was not impartial, and I apologize for not being impartial. I'm like, well, it was pretty hard to not be impartial because that person that was being interviewed just kept talking over constantly, interrupting constantly, wouldn't listen to anything anybody had to say. By the end of the interview, it was kind of like, okay, they'll probably have that person back in the future and try and conduct a little bit better of a more civilized meeting. But it was tough to watch. I had to turn it off a couple of times because I felt my, energy changing, and I just I need to walk away from that instead of confronting it sometimes.
You felt the boil starting?
Yeah, you could say that. It was full
boil?
Blue Jacket guy is what was happening. So I walked away. And then I rewatched it later when I was in a better frame of mind. I had a few friends this weekend going, "Are you going to go up to the hill?" And I go, "I'm going skiing, and maybe I'll wander up later." I said, let me get home and take a look. I looked on TV and I'm like, I'm not wasting my time with those clowns. I'm going to go to the pub and watch the football game, Like, clowns.
Yeah. So I've been doing a little research while you were talking, and so far the only thing I can find about Amira El-Gawabi having made an anti-Semitic remark or making some remarks is someone quoting people saying, Amira El-Gawabi made an anti-Semitic remark. What did she say? Amira El-Gawabi made an anti-Semitic remark. Translation, people are saying she made an anti-Semitic remark but are unable to say what it is.
Okay. So see, that's how the rumors go, right? So it's like, thank you for looking into that for me. Because all I knew was I heard that, but I've not read it anywhere. So if it's true, please provide us with the receipts. Otherwise, you're just spewing bullshit. Right?
Yeah. Again, that's just one tweet, but I'm, typing through my Googler, Amir El-Gawabi and anti-Semitism.
Not coming up with anything?
Jewish, and not much is coming up. Oh well, but I will still keep looking and come back because that would be interesting to know, because there have been appointments in the past that have had some controversial pasts from this government. So, it's not, I will not take it as a 100% assurance that it is not true at the moment.
Right.
Like this, because it's been true on other things. Right.
To believe things, and turns out that they were true. So,
like the guy from the Canadian
we get the
Action Media.
receipts.
Right. That guy that we were talking about. I never mentioned his name because I don't believe it deserves any publicity. But who had been given money to come up with a communication strategy that would be I think it was anti-Islamic as well too, and he had come out against Jewish white supremacists or something in the past, and was planning to take the money and do something like that with it. And then conservatives got mad, like for about 7 weeks, even though the minister had revoked the funding and demanded an inquiry.
Yes, yeah, they kept
until all of
beating
that
the dead
happened.
horse.
Right. But it did happen at least once, where sloppy research on the person to whom you were given a grant or you were appointing, Julie Payette,
Improper
as well.
vetting. Yeah, improper
Julie
vetting
Payette.
process.
Yeah, Julie Payette as well as Governor General.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew that Jody Wilson Railwood would go off the way that she did when she left either. Not every, like when you're in government and you're appointing people, you do the best you can off the resumes you have. I mean, the people are doing it, they don't know all of these people intimately, personally. And sometimes you think someone looks good on paper and then something just tumbles out of the closet.
Yeah.
And everything's stored well on that top shelf, but for some reason the house shook at one point and you open the door and something falls off the top shelf and right on your head. Boom. That happens in politics too. Things you don't see coming. As it is not the first time that they're improper vetting. It is possible. So I will, like I said, give it a legitimate look to see if I find anything, and I will indeed report back to you, Kits, because it is important to know this type of stuff.
Again, right now it's just a rumor. We've had no substantial evidence to present to you, and none's been presented to me. I just thing that said it was rumored that she did it. It's like, okay, we're going to have to look into this. We'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. I want to give. I got 2 images here to share with you about that sum up the Freedom Convoy.
Okay. Yes, please.
There's the first one. Free
Free
Don.
Don.
I don't know who Don is. Is he in prison? Was he in prison?
Trump.
And why do they
Must
need
be
to
Trump.
free him? Must be Trump. Must be Trump.
Must be Trump thing. Free Don.
Free Don. And then here's another one. This is the epitome. It's the epitome of Canadian patriot. Please explain to me why there is an American flag being flown at the Centennial Flame on Parliament Hill. I thought they were Canadian freedom fighters and patriots. Why do they have an American flag? Do they know what country they're in? Do they know this is Canada? Do they know they're in the capital of Canada? Do they know they're in Ottawa? Do they know that Ottawa is part of Ontario? Doug Ford doesn't know that. Do they know that Ottawa is Canada's capital? Do they know this? Because I'm beginning to think they don't. Like, why would you fly an American flag on Parliament Hill? It was like when they laid a Canadian flag over the tomb of the unknown soldier and then placed an American flag over top of that. People lost their minds over that, and I was one of those people.
I wonder if they're out there singing, "Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. Oh, Canada, God shed his grace on thee."
I got into trouble when I was at a football game, and I was standing there, and they're singing the national anthem. And I looked at my buddy, and I go, "Why are we singing the national anthem?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "We're playing. There are 2 Canadian teams playing. I could see it if we were playing an American team, but it's the Canadian Football League. There's no American teams. Well, there's American players. That's irrelevant. They're representing a Canadian team. I don't understand why we sing the national anthem at a football game. Sure, you want to sing it at a hockey game if Chicago Blackhawks are playing the Ottawa Senators, that's fine. But when the Leafs and the Leafs of the Canadians are playing the Ottawa Senators, why sing the national anthem? I just don't see the purpose. So we started to sing it, and I said, "In all of us command." And he goes, "Oh, you're one of those, are you?" And I go, "Wait." And I said, then I get to the ending part, and I sing, "Let's keep our land glorious and free." And he looks at me, and I go, "Dude, I don't think God's going to choose us over any other nation. I'm going to rely on Parliament and the Department of National Defense to keep our land glorious and free. Because if God is real, he's not picking sides in nations." He's
Mhm.
not looking at borders and going, those hockey playing sons of bitches, I'm going to protect them over everybody else. Doesn't work that way.
Right.
So I know it's controversial, but I think we should change that to let's keep our land glorious and free.
I would agree.
And let's face it, there are a lot of people who don't believe.
Right.
Whether you do or you don't, why should you have to sing something that is not applying to you? Let's keep our land glorious and free is not offensive.
No.
To anyone. And it's something that we need to do ourselves, because I don't think a deity is going to choose one country over another. It's
Yeah.
not how it works.
Yep. Because there are good people and sucky humans in every nation.
Exactly.
And I have a feeling that he picks individuals rather than countries.
Yeah.
If he exists.
She.
Or she. She. Well, yes,
If she
yes.
exists.
I keep on forgetting this. Yes. Actually, I don't know why I said he, because I always say that God's a woman.
Uh-huh.
That big black lesbian in the sky.
Yeah. And I'm not getting into I'm not wading into the weeds on that one. That's as far as I'm going with it. I'm not wading into the weeds. I don't discuss religion.
Oh, come on. Let's have some fun.
Look, politics is enough, man. We throw religion into the mix, and
Ah,
I'm sure our viewership will go up, but not for the right reasons.
Right. Indeed. Oh, man. For those who had missed it in MC Homo Milk's little video clip, Parliament resumed sitting today after a 6-week holiday break for constituency work and to regain your sanity, maybe a little bit, because they had gone a little wackadoodle just before the break. They did. It's true. You know it. And another piece of big news in politics, Hazel McCallion, former
Hurricane
mayor
Hazel.
of Mississauga.
36 years.
Yeah, 36 years, 12 terms, retired at 94 years old, died at 101 years old at home, surrounded by loved ones. She was followed by Bonnie Crombie in the mayoral seat in Mississauga, and she credits Hazel as being an inspiration for her. To mark the event, the Prime Minister said that she will be deeply missed, but she will be fondly remembered. And she would have been 102 on Valentine's Day. And I'm guessing this was supposed to be an honor, but Doug Ford had recently named her as the chair of the Greenbelt Commission.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that was supposed to be an honor.
Well, she was also she was also on the consulting team for Rivera, which is a long-term care home, private for-profit. Look, I'm gonna go to this. That's what I'm gonna go. One should only say good things about the dead. She's dead. Good. I don't think she was a particularly good person. Looking at her record over the years, that's my personal opinion. Whether she was or she wasn't, I can't say, but when I look at her record over the decades, I don't think she was a particularly good person. And I think she did a lot of things to harm the underprivileged and the downtrodden, along with the working class and poor. But again, I'm just speaking about her record. What was she like as a person outside of politics? No idea. Not a clue. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, "Oh, gone too soon." I'm like, she was 101. Suddenly died. She was 101.
Died suddenly.
I'm like, yes, it was because of the COVID vaccine. That's what it was. Yes. Yeah. That's exactly. Died suddenly. She was 101. She was a century plus.
Oh, man.
Somebody's going to see it's because she got the COVID vax. That's why she died. She was 101.
I think you have Kit Mel going, I die to avoid that too. What I'm wondering is, was that about the honorary chair of the Greenbelt Commission, Mel? Oh, crap, he named me to that. Time to check out. Ah! Oh, man. Other important news in Canada, February 1st will be a very historic day in Canada, because that will be the day where, for the first time, small amounts of illicit drugs will be decriminalized. possession of a small amount of illicit drugs will be decriminalized in
Where's that again?
Canada,
Sorry,
in British Columbia.
BC. Okay, I missed that
Yes.
first part. Sorry.
Yes, the province of British Columbia had applied for a special permit to be able to not enforce drug possession laws for harder drugs like cocaine and MDMA and heroin, because to help fight the opioid epidemic,
Mhm,
death
mhm.
epidemic, because a lot of street drugs are laced with toxic substances such as fentanyl or benzodiazepines. And the benzodiazepines are fairly new and do not respond to naloxone.
No, I didn't
No.
know that.
Yes. And while they are doing this, there's still no word on whether things like fen strips, which are little strips, those acid paper things that you
Mhm,
used to
mhm.
have in science class where you would test and would change
pH.
color of something. Yeah, pH thing. I guess, well, they have strips similar like that you can test your drugs on, and if they turn a certain color, I guess
They're
that
not.
they have lots of fentanyl and stuff in, but they're not widely available and they're not being distributed. I think in safe injection sites you might have some of them there,
Mhm.
but the general public can't get them yet. And this is still decriminalization of small amounts of possession so that people that you are trying to help don't get taken into the justice system, because
Right.
in certain provinces you cannot access treatment if you
Once
have
you've been
charges
convicted.
pending.
I know.
Right.
Does that make any bloody sense? Because no, it does not. Because all
Doesn't make
that does is create a bigger problem and cost us all much more money in the long run.
right, right, right.
So you would think conservatives would be all over this going, what, we can save money here? No, conservatives just want to throw them in jail because they deem them as less than.
Yes, but you could save money, you could save lives, you could save that whole thing, right? So pro-life, my ass, and I'm against all forms of discrimination. Well, you're definitely not against class warfare. So
And
there
again,
you go.
I shouldn't say conservatives. I should say reformers, because I do know, and as I've said this many times before, that the guys in my Scotch and Cigar Club are progressive conservatives. They all believe in a woman's right to make that choice. They all of them think all drugs should be decriminalized, and that we could help people get off of drug dependency and get them into programs where they could become members of society that contribute to our society. So there's progressive conservatives, and then there's reformers, and the reformers just want to throw everybody in jail that doesn't fit their ideal.
Right, right. Amounts up to 2.5 grams will be decriminalized. Some people are saying it's a good start, but even people within the drug use community are saying that's probably not enough, because there are a lot of addicts that consume more than that in a day.
I was going to ask that question. Is that a lot? I have no idea.
It
I know
seems
what
that it is
2.5
not a lot.
grams is, but I don't know if that's a lot for usage. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
neither do I. It seems that is not a lot, based
Okay.
on, I guess. Now, I don't know if this is based. This comes directly from the community, so I don't know if it's, a light user that would be enough, and 2.5
Mhm.
more than heavy user. But basically, the word from the street is that most consumers use more than that amount daily.
Well, they've been, how long ago has it been 20 years since they decriminalized everything in Portugal? Or is it less than that? I can't remember.
I'm not sure when that
But
was. Yeah.
the difference that it's made in their society is tremendous. Like illicit drug use has gone way down, way, way down. And we also have to understand that as a result of this, they've been able to get people off of drugs into programs that can help them get clean and sober. And what do they do with that? They turn into productive members of society.
Yep.
And help each other out.
Yep. It was 20 years in 2021.
Okay, there you go. So 22 years this year.
Yep.
And it's been a resounding success.
Indeed.
Like, if you look at the numbers pre and post, it's night and day what's taken place in that country when it comes to getting people off hard drugs and helping to eliminate the illicit drug trade. Well, not entirely eliminate. I mean, it's always going to be there, but they've cut it down to the point where they're not spending money on policing something, fighting the war on drugs, which is unwinnable.
Yep.
I mean, they've been doing it since 1970 in the U.S., the DEA, Richard Nixon. still nowhere near winning anything. So it's like, why? Just why? You're not going to win the war. It's stupid.
Yep. According to Transform Drug Policy Foundation, they do regular studies on what the situation is there, and their study from the 13th of May 2021 indicated that drug-related deaths have remained below the EU average since 2001 in Portugal. The proportion of prisoners sentenced for drugs has fallen from 40% to 15%, and rates of drug use have remained consistently below the European Union's average.
Those are huge numbers, right?
Those are huge numbers.
You just think of how many, what's the population of Portugal? 15 million? Hang on. I'm going to look it up here while you're doing that.
Okay. Portugal was not the first country to decriminalize some or all drugs, according to the report, and it has not been the last. However, it is one of the most prominent and influential. The Portuguese model directly influenced the 2020 decriminalization measure passed in Oregon, for example, as well as proposed decriminalization in Norway. Portugal is regularly held up as the leading example of drug decriminalization. Doug decriminalization. Because I'm dangerous, man. Example of drug decriminalization. So understanding the outcomes are vital. According to Dr. João Gualo, architect of the Portugal's decriminalization policy, he says it's very difficult to identify a causal link between decriminalization by itself and the positive tendencies we've seen. It's a total package. The biggest effect has been to allow the stigma of drug addiction to fall, to let people speak clearly and to pursue professional help without fear. In the first 5 years of the reforms, drug deaths dropped dramatically. They rose slightly in the following years before returning to 2005 levels in 2011, with only 10 drug overdose deaths recorded in that year. Since 2011, drug deaths have risen again but remain below 2001 levels when there were 76 recorded deaths. In 2001, Portuguese drug death rates were very similar to the EU average. While rates fell in Portugal following reform, they increased across the rest of Europe in the same time frame. From 2011 onwards, both Portugal and the rest of the EU have trended similarly, rising until 2015-2016. However, the gap between the two remains considerably wider than it was pre-reform. In real terms, drug death rates in Portugal remain some of the lowest in the EU, 6 deaths per million among people aged 15 to 64, compared to the EU average of 23.7 per million.
Wow.
It's almost 4 times more.
Portugal's 10.3 million, so a little bit larger than Quebec, because Quebec is 8.76 million, just to give you an idea.
And they are practically comparable to the 315 deaths per million aged 15 to 64 experienced in Scotland, which is over 50 times higher than the Portuguese rate.
Look at this. I just posted, this is from Marie on the screen, and this is a more accurate statement I don't think could be made. Used to be addicted to opioids and know many going through the throes of addiction now. It's complicated, but most people do not want to be an addict. Without support, it's almost impossible to stop.
Right.
That is 100% verifiably true. Without support, it's damn near impossible to stop. Because you just got to get through the next day. And how do you get through the next day if you don't have support? Well, you turn to the thing that stops the pain.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it boils down to.
I'm glad that's in the past tense, Saucy. I'm glad that you were able to get whatever support you needed, and you were able to choose you, and I'm glad that you're with us.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Because you're awesome.
Yeah, like you rock, big time. The move away from criminalizing and imprisoning people who use drugs has led to a dramatic change in the profile of the prison population. In 2001, over 40% of sentenced Portuguese prison population were held for drug offenses, considerably above the European average, and 70% of reported crime was associated with drugs. While the European average has gradually risen over the past 20 years from 14 to 18%, the proportion of people sentenced for drug offenses in Portuguese prisons has fallen dramatically to 15.7% in 2019, now below the European average. And with regards to drug use, in the first 5 years after the drug policy reform, use of illegal drugs rose slightly among the general population, but fell again in the following 5 years. Use among 15 to 24-year-olds fell throughout the decade, and among the general population was lower in 2012 than in 2001. There you go.
This is from Linda. My sister was addicted to opioids because they were the only approved medication for pain. They refused to approve surgery for her when she tested positive for cannabis, which is all that worked. All that changed when New York legalized marijuana.
Mm-hmm. And on health, for example, HIV transmission. Portugal had
12 years for Saucy Seawitch. She's been clean 12 years in October, just to let you know.
Good stuff. In 2001, Portugal had 1,287 new HIV diagnoses attributed to injecting drug use. It had over 50% of all the new HIV diagnoses attributed to injection drug use in the EU in 2001 and 2002, despite having just 2% of the EU population.
Wow.
Yeah. In 2019, with only 16 new diagnoses, it had only 1.68% of the EU total. Okay, they've gone from having 50% of all new HIV diagnoses to 1.68%.
That's crazy. Like, those are staggering
in
numbers.
18 years.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Wow.
Proves the policy works. Right?
Wow.
It proves that the policy works.
Holy crap. That's amazing numbers.
And just think of how much money is saved on a policy like that, right?
Mm-hmm. And money was saved also on hepatitis B and hepatitis C.
Like, it works, kids. It works. If there are progressives left in that party, please step up, stand up, come forth and support a program like this, because it works.
Yes. A 2015 study found that the social costs of drug use in Portugal fell 12% between 2000 and 2004 and 18% by 2010. While the former figure was largely driven by the reduction in drug-related deaths, the latter was linked to a significant reduction in costs associated with criminal proceedings for drug offenses and lost income of individuals in prison for these offenses. So, I mean, communicable illness transmission down, costs to society from dealing with the legal system down, cost to society from lost taxation income because people are not working down, cost to society in terms of general crime or loss of life, because I mean, all the money that you've invested in a person throughout their entire life, health, education, whatnot, and then they die early. Down. Yeah, this is a good idea. It's a
very good idea.
Good idea. And other provinces have been sort of inquiring whether or not that would be possible, but it looks like the federal government is very content to leave it a pilot project at the moment in BC. But then again, that's where our safe injection sites started as well, right? And the safe needle disposal programs first. And so anything that's harm reduction when it comes to drugs has basically started in BC, and then everything so far has proven its worth and has been expanded.
Exactly. One would think that Doug Ford would get behind a program. You got to hit your mute button, buddy. There you go. One would think that Doug Ford would get behind a program like that because of his brother's addiction issues. But of course, Doug won't do that, right? He was a drug dealer, so he did deal hash. That's not libelous. It's not libelous. It's a fact. It's been proven. It's been written about in the Globe and Mail, the Tor Star. I think the Ottawa Sun or the Sun newspaper chain glazed over that one because, but it's a fact. I'm not. It's not hyperbolic. It's not a lie. It's a fact.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's a big change in Canadian society, and hopefully that is something that spreads. Something else that kits may... have you ever heard of someone called La Sagouine? It's a character.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. Very, very famous character if you are French Canadian, particular if you are Acadian, is La Sagouine. It was a lead role in a play, and the person who created it, named Viola Léger. She is an actress, and she created La Sagouine. She performed the lead role over 3,000 times in her life. Yes. La Sagouine, if you are familiar, if you know anything about Acadian culture at all, you know La Sagouine. So Yes. She's an Acadian actress. She died on Saturday, according to a release from Carole Doucet at Le Grenier Musique. She was 92. Her most notable role, as we mentioned, was character of La Sagouine, a humble Acadian cleaning woman. She played the role more than 3,000 times in a play by Acadian author Antonine Maillet. So if you've heard of her, I believe if you've seen the play Albertine in 5 times,
It
Albertine en
rings a
5
bell.
temps. Yeah,
Rings a bell.
that's an Antonine Maillet play as well.
Hmm. Have you ever
I
seen the
believe so.
film Map of the Human Heart?
No, I have not.
So this was a Canadian film from 1992.
Oh no,
It
sorry, I was
starts
wrong.
at
I was wrong. Albertine en 5 temps was Michel Tremblay, not Antonine Maillet. Sorry.
okay. So this is a Map of the Human Heart, also called Carte Tendre ou La Carte Tendre. No, that's not it. It's the wrong. I got the wrong link here. Sorry. There was a Canadian film called, I think it was Map of the Human Heart. There it is. Yes, there is a Canadian film called Map of the Human Heart. I clicked on the wrong link. I got the wrong one. Here it is. So it starts in an Arctic village in 1931. British map maker who selects a 12-year-old Inuit boy as his guide. When the boy contracts TB, he flies him to Montreal Hospital, where Avik, with the Inuit boy's name, meets Albertine, and they fall in love. He gets sent to a residential school, and it was the first time I'd heard about residential schools and some of the terrible atrocities that took place. This was the first time I'd ever seen it.
Okay.
It was a production between Australia, the US, UK. It's a Canadian film shot in the Arctic. Anne Parelot and Jason Scott Lee portray the characters as adults. If you can find it, it's a great film. And
Map of
it
the
takes
Human Heart,
place.
right?
Map of the Human Heart. Yeah, there's a couple of films under that name, so make sure you find the right one, because there's about 5 or 6 of them that have the same name. Actually, I'll post a link if I can find it. Where is the? Come on, where's the? There. Map of the Human. I want to see if it's the right one here. I've got. There's the Roger Ebert. Yeah, okay, there it is. Here's the Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert.
Well, right, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be
Yeah,
en français?
guess
Ben
so.
oui.
Yeah.
The Roger Ebert review of the film. It's a great film that's worth a watch. Believe me, it's an incredible. I'm just going to. Map of the Human Heart tells a soaring story of human adventure of the best kind, based not on violence but on an amazing personal journey. It is incredible sometimes what distances can be traveled in a single human life. And this is a movie about a man who could not have imagined his end in his beginning. It's a great film. I loved it. If you get a chance to find it online somewhere, I highly recommend it, and it will maybe show a lot of people for the first time, because it was the first time I'd really ever seen what took place in residential schools. I'd heard about it because it was not a secret, but it wasn't taught widely, and what I heard about was never taught in school. I heard about it through friends who had First Nation friends who their grandparents and in some cases their parents went through residential schools and talked about the atrocities that took place and how they were beaten for speaking their own language or practicing their own culture. Or no, it's in English. It's an English film, Deborah. You get a chance, please find the film, seek it out, watch it. It's well worth your time.
Mm-hmm. I watched a good one yesterday in the part while I'm doing my jury duties for the Real Out Festival, Canadian. There's your morning pour, kids. A Canadian movie named Rosie, which is bilingual, mostly English, but there's some French, but it has the subtitles. And it's about this woman who has 2 very close, guess, transgender friends, whose sister dies suddenly, and her daughter basically lands in her lap.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So there's a little bit of an indigenous storyline in there, even though it's mostly about her trying to get her life back in order now that she has to straighten up in order to take care of a kid. But very well done. Elaine, the movie, it was called Map of the Human Heart, if you're wondering about the one that Mr. Grizzly was speaking of. If you're wondering about the one I was speaking of, it's called Rosie. I don't know if it's out yet, if we got a pre-screener and it's coming out yet. But it was very good. Of the ones that I've watched so far, it's the one that I preferred. But getting back to La Sagouine, so yes, she played the role more than 3,000 times in a play by Acadian author Antonine Maillet. And Antonine Maillet said that she's always been one of my greatest friends and certainly the greatest actress that l'Acadie has ever known. She had the talent of an actress. I didn't have to tell her, hey, do it this way or do it that way. She knew immediately how to do it, and that's what I called a talent. Léger's first performance of the play was in 1971, followed by performances in the US, France, and Belgium, both in French and English. Maillet said that she had brought representation for Acadians to those countries. She believes that the character of La Sagouine never could have remained as popular for as long without Viola Léger specifically. When Viola played other roles in other plays, they always recognized La Sagouine in her acting. Léger spent summers from 1993 to 2016 at Le Pays La Sagouine in Bouctouche. I've been there, where she played the character. Unfortunately, she was not there when I was there. It's this little Bouctouche in New Brunswick, and it's this little, like Disney World or Dollywood or whatnot like this. It's this little park where you can get a slice of what Acadian life was like at the time. And she was often there. In 1985, she started her own theater company, La Compagnie Viola Léger, and she created the Viola Léger Foundation in 1999, which awarded scholarships to actors at the beginning of their careers. She also served in Canada's Senate from 2001 to 2006, so this is the second former senator that we've lost in a few weeks. She also taught high school literature and drama for 15 years. She earned a range of awards and honors over the years, including theater awards, the Officer of the Order of Canada in 1989, the Order of New Brunswick in 2007, and 4 honorary doctorates. There is a school named after her in Ontario. In 2017, she suffered a stroke, which led to her withdrawal from public life, and up until the summer before the stroke, she continued to play the role of La Sagouine in Bouctouche. Flags at the Bouctouche Town Hall were lowered to half-mast on Sunday. For the Acadian community, this is a huge, huge, huge loss.
Yeah, major cultural
huge loss. And given that she's performed in both English and French, if you have an opportunity to look up La Sagouine, I'll put it in here for the private chat for you because, of course, if I'm saying La Sagouine and if you're French, you probably have no idea how that's spelt. If you're not French. So if you put it up there, Mr. Grizzly, do take a look at that because if you're not French Canadian, it's something that you may not be familiar with, given that we have our sort of two solitudes thing going on in this country. And I think you would enjoy it. I think you would enjoy it very much. You don't become a timeless character like that where you perform for 3,000 different shows if there's not something that'll hook you. So there you go. The bit of Canadiana this morning for you. Mr. Grizzly, we're getting close to the end of the show. I was wondering if you might have something.
I got two little funny clips for you here. I'm just waiting for one to load. And I thought I'd show you an image first, which was kind of cute. But he just sent this to me a second ago. And if I can get my computer to respond, it's for those of you who ever, when you were younger, you watched He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Skeletor.
Yes.
He-Man and Skeletor.
I
thought that was kind of funny.
I like that. I'm the king of the world. I would have thought it would have been a Brokeback Mountain picture. I wish I could quit you.
Yeah. That would have been better, right? Then there's this one, which every now and then I post this because it makes me laugh. So bear with me here as I load this up, and this is just a funny for you because it's one of those. Wow, didn't know that before, but here we go. So this is we all know Skeletor, right?
Yeah.
Spell advertisements without semen between the tits. Until we meet again.
I'm just going to leave that one there.
You can't spell advertising without what?
You can't spell advertisements without semen between the tits. Write it out.
My word. That is
Yeah,
horrible.
seriously, like really. I mean, come on, look at.
You can't spell advertisements
See, semen
without semen between the tits. Until we meet again.
I got you on that one, didn't I? I got you good on that one.
That's amazing. Oh shit. I love it.
See, and it's not rude or vulgar. It's legit. It's legit.
Oh my god.
Write the word advertisement and pull the semen out of it and see what happens.
Oh my god. That is amazing. I love that. You have to
I don't know who came up with it, but brilliant, right?
Well, it's because words are my life, right?
Right.
I mean, that is freaking brilliant. Oh my word. Oh my word. Wow. 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 Okay. I love that. A little bit of Canadians who make us proud news.
You're still laughing. That's a good one. See, I'm going to have to pop that up every now and then just because it's so good, right?
Semen between the tits. Oh my god. Okay. I can't stop laughing. That was really funny. Oh man, I love it. I love it.
So I got one more for you here, but this one's less. Okay, this one's less funny and just more actual. This is for the the Freedom Convoy protesters that were on the Hill this weekend. World of Statistics, Freedom Level 2022, 100 equals most free. Finland, Norway, Sweden all score 100. Canada scores 98. Three-way tie for first. We're in second place. How much more freedom do we need? Because if you look at Finland, Norway, and Sweden, they have heavy-duty social safety net programs. The taxes are very, very high, but the programs that they invest in benefit everyone in the society. And you will be hard-pressed to find anyone from any of those three countries say they don't like paying taxes. There was literally a thing where The Daily Show sent somebody to Sweden, Norway, and Finland to interview the average person on the street, and everyone, no, of course I like paying taxes. That's part of my responsibility as a member of society. It's how we take care of one another. And when my buddy, I said to him years ago when we were on vacation in Uruguay, I said, Freddie, I noticed that in Norway, you don't have a lot of charitable organizations. You have International Red Cross and UNICEF, which benefits people outside of Norway, but not a lot for, Norwegian people. And his response was the one that I will remember forever. Paul, when you build society properly, you don't need that. That's what taxes are for. You don't need charity if society is built correctly. That's what taxes are for. I'm like, holy crap, you're right.
Yep.
Holy crap in a hat, you're right.
Yep. In news of Canadians that make us proud, our athletes, again, have done some wonderful stuff to bring honor to the country. In a biathlon competition in Antholz and Terselva in Italy, Adam Runnels finished 13th and Christian Gau finished 17th. Pretty much anything top 30 in a cross-country ski race is pretty much amazing, given that there are usually over 100 competitors in every race. So good for them.
Good, yeah.
Yep. In alpine skiing, the men's downhill at Kitzbühel, which is one of the marquee events on the calendar, Broderick Thompson picked up a 9th place. So the top 10 finishes are spreading out around the entire members of the team. Yes, it was Jack Crawford earlier on, and then Val Grenier got some, and now now Broderick Thompson, and I think there was a Jeffrey Reed last week. So, they're just spreading around. And Cameron Alexander picked up a 19th place at the downhill in Kitzbühel. And I think the week before picked up a 6th place in a race. So he too was one of the top 10s. Oh, well, there we go. In the down, there we go. There were 2 downhills, I guess, in Kitzbühel this weekend to make up for a lost one. And the previous one was Cameron Alexander, who finished in 6th place. So there we go. I remembered it without remembering it. So there you go. Great stuff that our Canadians have done over the course of the weekend, and I'm sure there's a whole lot more. And we recently had the Canadian Figure Skating Championships as well that were held in Ottawa. Not in Ottawa.
No, they weren't.
No, it's the World.
I know. I would have went.
That are being.
They were.
Yes.
They were held last year. The figure skating championships were held here last year, around this time-ish. And I was supposed to go with a friend, but everything got shut down because of COVID. Because there was what was it, the Delta variant? There was another wave, and everything was closed. And anyway.
Yeah. So Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier did not get to compete in the ice dance competition because they were injured, but they were still named to the national team because they had won the Grand Prix title a couple of weeks before. So they will be going to the World Championships that are going to be in Saitama, Japan, March 20 to 26th. And Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier will be going with Laurence Fournier-Baudry and Nikolai Sorensen in the ice dance. Keegan Messing won national gold in the men's competition on the men's side, and he will go. It's his last year. This was his last Canadian Championships. He lost his brother a few years ago and is now married and has a child. So he's looking to go to family life. But he went out winning a Canadian championship, so good for him. He's actually Alaskan born, and competed for Canada. The women's national champion is Madeline Skizas, and she will be the lone woman on the Canadian national team going to the Worlds. And in pairs, Brooke McIntosh and Benjamin Mimar, Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud, in addition to Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps. That's the couple that we've talked about a few times on the show, where she's 39 and he's 31. And they've both managed to find each other and do the best they've ever done in their entire careers, competing all of a sudden at this stage in their lives. So late bloomers, kids. Late bloomers. They will also be on the team. The Australian Open ended as well with Novak Djokovic winning his 22nd Grand Slam title total, his 10th Australian Open championship in his entire career, tying him with Rafael Nadal for the most Grand Slam single championships in the Open era in tennis. So with him still being in relatively good shape, and I don't know how, he's 36, 37 now, and there's nothing in the way that he's playing that's showing that he's still not going to be playing this way well into his 40s. Sorry, I got a cough here for a second.
It's okay. You go ahead and cough, and I'll talk. Oh, another cough.
Where is that?
Do you need a lozenge, sir?
I might need a fisherman's friend. If not, just send the fisherman.
Yeah,
I'll be his
the
friend.
trick.
Hey.
I didn't see that one coming.
On.
You got me.
You got
me. Didn't see that one coming. I should have known better. I should have known better.
I could have cast a line.
You did. You did. I should have known better. Like, really, I should have known better.
You really should have. You slipped a little on that one there, my friend.
I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I was skiing yesterday.
Oh man.
And then Don, wherever Don is.
Yeah, you went free Don. Then in more down skiing news, at Cortina d'Ampezzo in the Super G, Jeffrey Reed finished 7th in his race. Jack Crawford finished 15th. Broderick Seeger finished 18th. So that's 3 top 30, top 20 even finishes for Canada in that race, which was pretty impressive. In the women's slalom, we had a lady named Laurence Saint-Germain, finished 15th in that race. Ali Nullmeyer finished 19th. So again, and Amelia Smart finished 30th. So if you finish in the top 30, you get points. So 3 women in the top 30 there. That's always a fantastic result. And I mean, our athletes were just all over the place doing good stuff, because we get the place that I'm looking for only contains certain sports. There's also a weekly report from the Canadian Olympic Committee that tells you stuff like, our aerialists, for example, are the people that do slope style, which are not where I'm getting these results. And we're speed skating and all the kind of stuff, and we're just racking up medals weekly, left, right, and center. All of these sports our Canadian athletes are doing this amazingly.
Well, it just shows you what happens when they put a little bit of money into it, right? Remember that it all began with the Own the Podium slogan and program. Yeah, to lead up to 2010, and they just kept funding it because look at the difference it's made. Yep. We used to get embarrassed by Canadian athletes who couldn't finish in the top 20. Well, you're trying to work 2 full-time jobs and train full-time to compete for the Olympics. The fact that they even qualified is still mind-blowing to me when you consider
the low level of support.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, and then, so Glenroy Gilbert, remember Glenroy? The 1990, was 96 in Atlanta? 96 in Atlanta. 4x100 meter relay team gold medalist. Glenroy, I've met Glenroy a number of times. Glenn, as his buddies call him. I'm not his buddy. I've met him a number of times. My friend grew up with him. They're super close. Glenn was earning almost no money, like poverty wages, had a wife and a child, poverty wages, trying to earn a living and train full-time, and still managed to be part of a 4x100 meter relay gold medal winning team. The first time the Americans ever lost that, by the way.
Right.
So that's historic. You got to love a Saturday night in Atlanta, right?
Yeah,
first time that ever happened. And because I knew how tough it was for him to train back then because he had no money. I mean, he's done well for himself since that time. Winning a gold medal certainly helps. And he finally got some good sponsorship, but it was a struggle. I mean, this man was dedicated to his craft, which is, again, the reason that I have admiration for Olympic athletes, because there's no guarantee of a payoff. It's not like, you might make the National Football League or Major League Baseball or CPL or MLS or the Premier League or the NFL or international cricket, or, there's no guarantee of a payoff when you're an Olympic athlete. I mean, it's better now. And if you win a gold medal, you're going to be okay. But so many of them toil in obscurity for decades. And there's no guarantee of a payoff. So it really is a complete dedication of passion and love for the sport that they do it, which is why I have such great admiration for athletes. Do it because they love it and they want to rep the country.
Mm-hmm. And they're very passionate, and they're amazing, amazing ambassadors.
Oh, yes.
They are amazing ambassadors for us. More results for them. Again, in alpine skiing, again at Cortina d'Ampezzo, the men had the Super G, and then we had no fewer than 5 men finish in the top 30 in that race. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So we had Broderick Seeger take 16th. We had Cameron Alexander take the 20th place in that race. We had Jeffrey Reed take 23rd. We had Riley Seeger, which is, I think, for us, take 25th. And we had Broderick Thompson take number 27. That's all in one race. That's like 1/6 of everybody that finished in the top 30 were Canadians in that race. That's pretty amazing.
Wow.
And then Laurence Saint-Germain was having a killer weekend because she took a 7th place in the slalom at Spinderlov-Milin in the Czech Republic to go along with that other top 10 finish earlier. And Amelia Smart picked up another top 20 to go with her top 30. in that previous race. And then in cross-country skiing, Antoine Cyr, who we talked about a few weeks ago, who took a 6th place in the sprint, took an 8th place in the mass start. The mass start is really tough in cross-country skiing.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, because there's it's like a peloton in cycling, right? There's like 200 people, and you all go at the same time. There's, good luck.
Yeah. Yep.
Hope you don't get trampled.
Right. And then we're like a whole bunch of other stuff, like Michael Kingsbury won a gold and silver, and like Val Secombe, he is like the greatest mogul skier ever.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
Right. Yeah, Mirela Raneva got a bronze in the skeleton at the World Championships. Yeah, just at the World Championships, just a bronze, right? Yeah, no problem. Right? Just our athletes are amazing. They do us proud. I love following them. I love reporting on their success. So there you go, kids. Mr. Grizzly, should we call it a show?
Let's call it a show after one Jim Carrey clip I want to air.
Ooh, yes.
It's a statement of Canadian healthcare.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen this. This is when he was a guest on the Bill Maher show.
Okay.
And it's 56 seconds, and it's well worth watching. Here we go.
I grew up in Canada, okay? We have socialized medicine. And I'm here to tell you that this bullshit line that you get on all of the political shows from people is that it's a failure. The system is a failure in Canada. It is not a failure. I waited for anything in my life. I chose my own doctors. My mother never paid for a prescription. It was fantastic. And I just got back from Vancouver, and I keep hearing this, like, Canadians are so nice. Canadians are so nice. They can be nice because they have health care. Because they have a government that cares about them. It doesn't say sink or fucking swim, pal.
Right.
Or you live in a box.
Yeah.
There are certain people in our society that need to be taken care of. There are people without as many opportunities that need to be helped toward those opportunities. There are people who are sick.
But that's the...
You shouldn't have to lose your home because your mother got sick.
And look,
I grew up...
I think
Nobody should... Go ahead.
I think that's a pretty poignant statement on is under scrutiny. It's under a heavy load, but it's still there.
Yep. Nobody should lose their home. Nobody should lose their home for committing the cardinal sin of being human and taking ill.
Right. Right.
We're humans. We get ill. It's what we do.
It happens,
Usually that's why most of us end up dying. We got sick.
Well, what was it? My buddy says, that the biggest thing, I'm going to screw it up. He always says something to the effect of the most fatalistic thing, the biggest contribution to death is life. Right? Once you're born, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Well, it's like all those people saying like, oh, well, they died. Well, they got the vaccination. Well, in a country where 90% of the people have received a dose, of course somebody who dies got vaccinated. What are the odds? They suffered from the terminal combination of having been vaccinated and being human.
Yeah.
Right? Humans die. People who are vaccinated eventually die. 90% of the people in your country get vaccinated. Most likely, if someone dies, they will have received a COVID vaccine.
Yeah,
and that's why we learned. Yeah, but that's when we learned. That's when we learned that correlation is not causation.
That's right. That's right. Well, both my parents, my senior citizen parents, my dad, 81, his mom is 76, because there's 5 years between them. They both had COVID. They'd had 3 shots at that point. And they were ill for a week, and then they were okay. Everybody's like, well, they're covered. So I'm like, they recovered because they had 3 shots. They're elderly. Their chances of survival if they got COVID and they were not vaccinated? they probably wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, look at all the deaths. The majority of deaths in the province of Ontario, where did they occur? Long-term care homes amongst the elderly.
Yep. You got it.
Vaccines save lives. Somebody said, how many are you going to get? How many are you going to get? You've got 5. How many more are you going to get? Well, I had 9 for diphtheria. So how many do you got? Keep them coming. I had 9 for diphtheria before I was, 4 years old?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the schedule. 9 for diphtheria. So how many do you need me to get? I'll get them all.
Yep. There's some talk even that the next booster might be a little longer than 6 months out because even though we are getting new variants, they're still all in the Omicron family. So they might be pushing back the window. If we can be lucky enough to have new variants of the Omicron variety for the next while, without something new completely coming up, we might even be able to get to the point where we have that combined RSV flu COVID vaccine, or at least flu COVID vaccine, and just be taking it once a year. Like we do with the flu shot, even though the uptake on the flu shot every year even isn't always 50%. So. Yeah. And speaking about that COVID, somewhere while we weren't paying attention, we crossed the 50,000th death in Canada.
Yeah, I saw that. More people died in 2022 than did in 2020.
Yeah, I was watching for it, and I don't know when we passed it, but we're now at 50,507.
Yeah. Of course, you'll have the people died with or died because of. What were their other comorbidities? Oh, stop. It's like all these died suddenly people. There's one about athletes dying suddenly, and there's a thread I followed, and it's like, I dove into this thread and discovered that this person who wrote this thing considered anybody who had ever done any athletic endeavor in their entire life an athlete. So this guy hiked up a mountain. He was 58 years old, had several comorbidities, started hiking to get into better shape, and died of a heart attack. And they're trying to say it was the vaccine. It's the first time he'd been hiking in 20 years. This one was a 12-year-old who got in the head with a slap shot while on the ice and died. They're trying to blame it on the vaccine. It's like they're just pulling shit out of the air to try and point the finger of blame at something that doesn't have a blame.
Well, you know what? At least they picked something they can ride for the next 60 years or so.
Yeah. Oh, they had people in their 70s and 80s who, he was skating on an outdoor rink and dropped dead of a heart attack. Died suddenly. He was an athlete. He was 75.
Yeah.
If you have a heart attack at 75, you might not recover from that.
So about 53
they're
years
really
from
reaching.
Now, yeah, so about 53 years from now, when I finally hit 102, which is the minimum age at which I'm going to die, because I decided this a long, long time ago, and once I decide something, I do it. I would like to come back for just 30 seconds to be able to read the Died Suddenly article about me.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Did Hazel McCallion get a died suddenly article? Because she died suddenly, according to somebody the other day. I'm like, she was 101, man.
Yes, I died suddenly 70 years after receiving the first vaccine.
Yes. The best one I've seen thus far was the clip from the movie Showgirls, where Elizabeth Berkley is in a pool with Kyle MacLachlan, and they're getting rather rambunctious in the act of making love. I was really reaching there, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And somebody says, my friend Nomi got the vaccine in 1996, and she's been this way ever since. And it shows her just, I'm like, oh boy. We can't show it because there's nudity, but it was quite funny. It was quite funny. You can seek it out.
Oh, my ears.
So,
At 101, you're basically just there waiting to die.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
I got a joke for you. I got a quick joke for you, and then we'll wrap it up. 3 octogenarians were sitting around the long-term care home, 3 gentlemen octogenarians, and the first one says, I would give anything to wake up first thing in the morning and take a really healthy piss. The other one says, I hear you. I'd do anything to wake up first thing in the morning and take a really healthy dump. The third one looks at the both of them. He says, well, first thing in the morning, I take a really healthy piss. Then I take a really healthy dump. Then I wake up.
That happened to my mom once, eh?
Something to look forward to.
She had a dream that she was on the toilet and she was having the
Oh, yeah.
ever. Apparently she was like smiling in her sleep and everything. Apparently
I
think
have those dreams often.
I had crawled into bed apparently because I think there was a thunderstorm that night or whatnot, and I was afraid. I woke up and the whole bed was wet. And then she looks at me and she goes,
Did it
Ducky,
rain?
you pissed in the bed. Like this, and I'm like feeling my underwear. She says, no, my dear,
No, I
Mommy, you peed the bed. And she started laughing her head off. She actually tried to pass it off on me.
So I've had those dreams where I have to take a wicked piss. A wicked yes. A wicked yes? Oui. A wicked yes. And I wake and I'm sitting there and I'm in the dream, I'm standing over the toilet and I'm peeing, but like I still have to pee. Like I'm not getting any relief whatsoever. Like nothing. I'm like, I don't get it. What's going on? And then I wake up and I haven't urinated. I haven't. It's like, oh, I got to pee. So I jump up and run to the toilet. And it's kind of funny when that happens because you're like, it's so vividly real. It's like, why am I not feeling any relief whatsoever? This is not right. I should be feeling relief by now. And in the dream, I'll be peeing for like 5 minutes and nothing. I'm still feeling like a. Then I just wake up and run to the toilet. And that happens to me more than I care to mention.
Every time I have that dream, the first thing I do is like I wake up like it's a nightmare. I start feeling my shorts.
Oh, I fling the covers back and leap out of the bed. Well, I only sleep nude, so, it's a quick dash and I'm good to go.
Title of your sex tape.
I only sleep nude. It's healthier.
Quick acid, I'm good to go. Title of your sex tape.
Well, that and I'm an oven. If I wore anything, I'd be like, I wake up covered in sweat every morning anyway. So that's why I wake up feeling hungover because I'm always dehydrated when I wake up.
There you go.
Ridiculous metabolism.
Blame the sweat glands. All right, kids.
Hopefully you don't get paralysis at the same time as one of those dreams.
Oh, God. Wouldn't that be awful?
Like, oh, man, I got to burn everything now.
I'm peeing and I can't get up.
I'm peeing and I can't get up.
Because you're pressing your medical alert. Sorry, we got nothing for you. We can't help you with that, ma'am. Sorry, you just.
Sorry, by the time we get there, it's too late. It's too late. And we ain't cleaning that shit up. Not happening.
It's not shit, it's pee. Turn up your pack. Well, kids, that's the on pee and poop jokes. That's the end of this episode of Just a Nibble. Not just a nibble, the not quite daily Beaver.
Well, the daily Beaver.
Just a nibble.
The daily Beaver.
Oh, sorry, I got a cough.
That's okay. Just hit the cough button and you're good.
Here we go. We hope you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Because sometimes because democracy is something you do.
Have trouble.
Just laugh your ass off today for some.
He's got a case of the giggles, folks. Why don't I just run the credits and we'll go from there?
Oh no! Don't run the credits.
You're good.
We got merch to sell. If you really like this podcast, you could find us on Crier Media Network as well as anywhere you get all your podcasts featuring a grizzly bear and beaver. Please share the podcast. We love your feedback. We're on Facebook, Twitter at True Eager, and our email is truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And poor Douglas has the giggles. Yes, he does. Deed is a bad influence on you guys. Yes, he is, and we love it. Saucy C, which calls it Dougiggles. Gotta get some Dougiggles. And they've warned me about the fishermen. They said it was a trap. You can subscribe via Podpage if you want us to come straight to you as soon as we have something fresh off the bandwidth. Podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words, and we'll get you set up, and you will not miss an episode. we promise you. If you really, 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 really like this podcast and you wish to encourage us to do more, we work for tips. Please feel free to buy a cup of coffee for Mr. Grizzly here or a mug of hot chocolate for me, because I am what I drink. Via our coffee page at ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. That's try that again. That's ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. And you know what? I was listening to the Bridge with Peter's Bridge the other day. And he's a consummate professional. He had one episode where he kept tripping over his tongue too. And I thought, okay, good. At least it's not me. Because if Peter Mansbridge can do it, then I can do it too.
Only human.
We're only human. And finally, if you'd rather get something for your money because you are a savvy shopper or a very smart person, well, of course you're a smart person. You're listening to the show, right? That goes without saying. Then we've got you covered, literally, with Eager Beaver t-shirts and Mr. Grizzly Civics tees. 6 designs in the sizes from small to 3XL. There you go, kids. Look at all those lovely designs if you're watching the show. You can get those at crier.co/crier-media.
It's on the screen.
Shop. Yes. Or you can go to that one on the screen. Yes, in the chat. But the shorter one, if you need to remember, just crier.co/crier-media-shop, and then click on the True North Eager Beaver prompt.
Good to go.
That'll bring you right there. Yes. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind and gentle with yourself. And Mr. Grizzly, please, some words of wisdom.
Do your best to get out there and get some exercise and enjoy the winter for what it is. Go out there and walk in the winter wonderland. That's not a Christmas song, by the way. They never mention Christmas in it. Christmas is never mentioned, so you can play that in the wintertime, no problem. Jingle Bells is also, they never mention Christmas. BT dub.
There you go.
Christmas is never mentioned in that song. So yeah, get out there and enjoy that winter wonderland. Get out there, go for a skate, go for a ski, downhill or cross country, maybe snowshoe. Just get out and go for a walk and enjoy it, because winter is a wonderful season. Yes, we tend to complain about shoveling and scraping and doing this and that. And yeah, and all those things they suck. But, there's things in the summertime that aren't enjoyable that we still have to do, like weeding, mowing the lawn, blah, 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 to get out and enjoy the wonderful weather that we have. So get out there, get some exercise, get some fresh air under your lungs. If you can, not everybody can. I understand that. So I'm not laying a guilt trip on you if you're incapable of doing that. Okay. But if you can get out and get some exercise and enjoy that fresh air and that beautiful new snow we got, please do so.
Yes. And if while walking in that winter wonderland, you happen to be in a meadow and meet a snowman, say, hey, guy, keep chilling. Roll the credits, Mr. Grizzly.
The True North Eager Beaver podcast is an Eager Beaver Mr. Grizzly collaboration. Research, story, and guest curation and copy written by the Eager Beaver. Recording, production, editing, and additional research by Mr. Grizzly. Music courtesy of Ben Sound Royalty Free Music. Once again, thank you to our founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss Fee Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing and CanadianTarot.com. And thank you to Pete Jarvis for our artwork. We love it. Kits, we'll talk to you real soon. Bye.
Take care.
Bye, everyone. Big love.
See you.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.